Hello everyone, my name is David of Negative White and my guest tonight is...
Hi, this is Mirai from Sigh.
So, how are you doing today?
Well, we've been doing well because this is a short European tour. This is the fourth day of the tour.
So no big delays or problems with customs?
Oh, not at all, because we were a bit afraid of those terrorism things, and we thought the security might be much more harder, but no, nothing.
So you heard about those attacks even in Japan, or was it big on the news, or do you just read a lot?
The terrorism?
Yeah,
it's a huge news even in Japan. Because of the news, we have the impression that going to Europe, or coming to Europe, might be a little bit dangerous. But if you come here, it's very peaceful. There's nothing crazy going on.
So back to the music. Okay. How do you describe the sound of Sigh?
It's a little bit difficult because our albums sound different from album to album, but maybe it's still metal with lots of other elements like classical music, jazz, or sometimes rock music or whatever. But it's metal anyway. So
yeah, on your newest album, Graveward, there are a lot of compositions that sound like horror movies and stuff. Are those original compositions or is that sampled?
It's all original composition. So I'm an officially trained composer. I used to work for some TV shows, and so yes, I know how to orchestrate and everything.
So how long does it take you to write the orchestral part, opposed to just the guitar part?
Well, it took because we took a lot of time to finish up the Graveward, but that was mostly because we had to fire our first guitarist. But composition, as far as composition goes, it took about a year to compose and arrange all those tracks and things. I always try to take my time until I feel that the songs are 100% perfect, So I don't want to start rehearsing before I feel confident, completely.
So what about not just the composition arrangement, but also the mixing and mastering? Is that how long does that take?
Well, it didn't take that long to finish, but still it took about a few months. This time our guitarist Yu Oshima did the mixing, so he did it at his own studio. But I don't remember, maybe it took about 3 or 4 months. He's very busy, so yeah.
Oh, so he's not just your guitarist, he's also your new mix mastering guy.
For the Graveward, probably for the next album, I'm thinking of making somebody else to mix it, but for Graveward, the guitarist did it. All the songs were ready when we fired the first guitarist. So for the Graveward, of course, you did a little bit arrangement for the guitar parts, but mostly the songs were already written by me. But I'm expecting a lot more from him for the future albums.
So you weren't satisfied with your previous guitarist? The new one is more dedicated?
Yeah, because the new one is by far better in every point, because he's dedicated, he's a better musician, he's a nice guy as a person too, so...
You also had a lot of guests on the album, like Matt Heafy or Fred Leclerc. How do you get all these guest musicians?
Well, actually, it's not intentionally we try to gather everybody or anything. It's much more spontaneous. It's more natural because those people come to Japan and play and they ask, "What are you doing?" "Oh, actually, we are recording albums." "Oh, then let us play something." "Oh, okay, let's do that," and and that's it. So it's not well planned or anything. It just happens through friendship and like that.
So how do you know all these guys? From your own touring, or?
Both. They come to Japan. Actually, I'm a music journalist too, so I know a lot of people who come to Japan. So
yeah, you have been in the scene for a long time now.
5 years. So yeah, because I was into tape trading, and I was in the black metal scene even from the very beginning in the early 90s. So I'm already 46 years old, and I grew up listening to lots of thrash metal from the 80s. And the music you listen to when you were a teenager gives you the biggest inspiration. So still the thrash metal, heavy metal from the 80s are the biggest inspiration of me.
So which bands are those? Like Venom?
Yeah, Venom, Chaotic Frost, Whiplash, death, creator, destruction, at war, necrophagia, and a lot of Merciful Fate, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, everybody.
Yeah, Celtic Frost aren't active anymore, but there's Triptychon now. What do you think about Triptychon?
Triptychon is great, but to be honest, I prefer Celtic Frost much better. I like Into the Pandemonium the best, and Two Megatherion is great, Morbid Tale is great, and even like Cold Lake too.
Yeah.
But Cold Lake is very original. It's a totally strange, but trying to mix LA metal and thrash metal is one of the most original idea, the craziest idea in the heavy metal history. I even like it, but I'm not a huge fan of the later albums like Vanity, Nemesis, or I even do not like Monotheist very much. Because I like the Martin Ains drumming very much.
Yeah.
Drumming is very important for Celtic Frost. I like it, but I prefer the early one with the Martin Ain on drums much better. So.
But I'm surprised that you like Cold Lake, because a lot of people are like, oh man, that's not Celtic Frost.
It's strange because they tried to sound like LA metal, but it's not LA metal at all with a vocal like that. Probably that's the one and only album that sounds like that. So, I don't hate that album. I think it's very original.
You have another new member, Dr. Cannibal?
Her real name is Mika.
Mika,
And
okay.
she's a huge fan of Cannibal Corpse, so she took the Cannibal from their name, and Mika and Cannibal, just Mika Cannibal. And she has a physics PhD for real. She's a real doctor for physics, so that's why she called herself Dr. Cannibal. I don't know, she's researching superconductivity or something, and she always reads the book like the mad doctor reads in the movies. I don't understand that at all. Lots of jargons and strange science and everything. I don't understand at all. But she's a real scientist. She speaks English very well, and she can growl very well. So it's very rare to find a person like that in Japan. Even if you are a man, you're male, it's not easy to find a person like that. I met her through our mutual friend, and she gave me a demo tape of the bands which she was in back then. And to be honest, I was not expecting much. I thought this would be something typical demo band, average band or something. But I heard the tape, and it blew me away because her growling skill was, brilliant. And she even told me that she could play the saxophone, and she speaks English very well, so why not? I just had to ask her to join Sigh. So it was a good coincidence.
But the other old band doesn't have any releases, no.
Just some demo tapes, and maybe that band was on some minor compilation CD, but that's it. Actually, it was a pretty good band, I think, but they didn't make it.
So you have to be super lucky to make a band, find the right people, make a release that people actually like. Even when you started, what was it like for you? You were like a super small band in Japan.
Yes, to be honest, we were not a very ambitious band or anything, because we started a band in 1990, but there was no Japanese band that made it internationally. Of course, Loudness was very famous, but they were a heavy metal band, not an extreme metal band. I did not see any thrash metal or death metal band who were internationally known. So we never thought we would make an album or we would tour like this. So we were not expecting anything. We just wanted to make a demo or two, and we thought that would be it. I never thought we would tour, we would play for the big festivals like Ruler Assault or Hellfest. We never expected it.
Now you have put a lot more work in it, right? You have like a whole concept with not just the music, but also the visuals.
Oh yeah, I always like the band that has a concept, because Venom is the best example. They completed their concept even from the very beginning, because when they debuted with Welcome to Hell, they already had names like Kronos, Abaddon, Mantis, and they had the weapons in their photos, and they, because concept is 100% completed when they just debuted for the debut album. I think it's just perfect. And they had evil images, evil names, evil photos, evil lyrics, and evil music. That's perfect. That's what I love. So we try to do the same. We usually try to use some fire and blood to make it theatrical as possible, but mostly now the fires are forbidden in the most of the venues. I'm not sure if we can do that tonight, but it depends on the venue. I know it's dangerous, but it looks very cool with fires and blood.
So is Japan more open to experimental sound, or did you find it more conservative in general?
Of course, it's very conservative. Maybe you know a lot of Japanese experimental bands like Merzbow, Boris, and ourselves. Because probably Japanese bands are known for its strange sound or experimental sounds, but they are just the exception. There are so many conservative, traditional heavy metal bands, but they are not breakthrough to the international market because they just sound like the Western bands. Because you don't want to listen to the Japanese bands that sound like a Swedish band because you already have the Swedish metal bands. So it's just an impression. The Japanese are very conservative, and the Japanese scenes are very conservative. So most of the Japanese heavy metal fans love very traditional power metal band, melodic power metal band from Halloween, Blind Guardian, and of course they love the melodic death metal bands like Arch Enemy, like that. There are just a few experimental bands, and there are a few experimental music fans, but the scene itself is very small. But they break through the international scene, so that's the reason.
Yeah, the other bands that I know from Japan are like Intestine-Balism, Welt in Scarlet, Serpent, Galnerius, and stuff.
You know a lot about the Japanese metal bands.
Are these typical of Japan, or are those like the weird guys, basically?
I don't think Galnerius is doing very well in Japan, but other bands like Intestine-Balism, Gallows is not an extreme metal band. Extreme metal scene is very small. It's underground. So some heavy metal bands can make it commercially.
So, and you yourself, you have been with a lot of record labels over the years. What was your experience? Was it like always good or always bad?
Labels?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, mostly bad experiences because I'm not a business person, so I'm very bad at handling those things. But I heard at first we signed to Euronymous, Death Like Silence production, but he was murdered before we released our albums. So that was the first, maybe the worst experience through our whole career. Then we signed to Cacophonous Records. Probably they were the worst label in the world. So they ripped off every band on their label. Then we signed to Century Media. Century Media was very cool because they're very huge and they're very honest, but we were not as commercial as they wanted us to. So we had to leave them just after one album.
Okay. Did they say like, okay, why don't you make a more melodic album or a more extreme album?
No, they didn't say. Actually, for Gallows Gallery, they said so. Because Gallows Gallery is, or maybe was even the black sheep, even for the Sigh albums, it sounds very strange. So they could not release it. They just did the Imaginary Sonicscape, which was probably too strange for them enough, too strange. And Gallows Gallery, they could not release it because it sounded too strange for them. So we had to find another label to release it. So, yeah.
Were you satisfied with the Gallows Gallery release? Because there was a re-release by Blood Music like a few years ago.
Well, actually, I'm not a person who sticks to the sound production that much because I grew up with the 80s thrash metal bands. I don't care about the sound production of Venom. It should be very bad for many people. So I don't care at all. I really like the sounds from the 80s. So I don't know, so many people complain about the sound production of the albums like Gallows Gallery or maybe Grave Ward, but to be honest, I cannot tell. It doesn't matter to me. These days, the super clean production is very popular in heavy metal scene, but I have nothing against super clean. I have nothing against very dirty production. I just don't care.
So do you listen to a lot of music yourself?
Well, yeah, I listen to a lot of newer music too because I I work as a heavy metal journalist in Japan too, so I have to keep up with the scene. I have to do the interviews. I have to write liner notes for many new albums. So I still listen to a lot of albums.
What albums have you impressed so far this year? I mean,
This year, it's a little bit difficult, but the new Death Angel was very good.
okay.
Yeah, that one was really good. What else?
Have you referred to Vector?
Oh yeah, Vector. They have been releasing a lot of great albums. So, and we are playing together at Metal Man in Belgium. So this weekend, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, this weekend.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Vector for a long time. Yeah. They're very original. It's very difficult to play original thrash metal these days because everything has been done before. But still, Vector is doing really well with their originality. So I respect them a lot.
Okay, final question. Do you have a favorite Manowar album?
Wow, Kings of Metal, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the classic.
Yeah, it is a classic.
Okay, thank you very much. See you next time.
Okay, thank you very much.